It's Fired Up Friday, and this isn't a pep talk. This is the Bad Influence podcast. Yeah, the one they told you not to listen to. I'm Jordan Banderas, and today we're lighting a match under a light that's been hiding in plain sight. If you want to take control of your life, it starts right here. New drops every week, but let's burn the old version of you to the ground. Parents, please quit telling your kids they'll take care of you someday, especially when you never took care of your damn responsibilities. Because that's not a plan. That's avoidance wrapped in tradition. And your kids are paying the interest on your fear. Let me say this clean. Expecting your kids to save you later is not love. It's a delay tactic. It's pushing today's discomfort onto tomorrow's children. So here's the question nobody wants to answer. When you talk about your kids taking care of you, are you planning or are you dodging accountability? Because I've seen this my whole life. Parents who didn't save, parents who didn't learn, who didn't sacrifice, then called it family values when the bill came due. That weight doesn't feel like love to a kid. It feels like a future already hijacked. This is fear masquerading as hope. It's refusing to face your own mess and calling it legacy. But legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what you don't leave behind for someone else to clean up. Let me get personal, because I live this. My mom used to think I was going to take care of her financially because she was getting older. Not because we planned it, not because there was a conversation, because it was assumed. Responsibility was never discussed, it was just transferred. And that shit messes with your head. That pressure doesn't show up as a request. It shows up as guilt, as obligation, as the fear of being the bad kid. You don't feel love, you feel trapped. And here's the lie people tell themselves to sleep at night. I'll get to it later. Later is where accountability goes to die. Later is how problems grow teeth. Money doesn't respond to intention. It responds to action. Think about the money chaos you grew up around. The stress, the arguments, the silence, the panic nobody explained. That chaos taught you fear before safety, survival before joy, stress before freedom. And kids carry that into adulthood without language. That's not fate. That's environment. Here's the warning most people miss. If you resent the generation before you and don't change the pattern, you become the same problem with a different excuse. Trauma doesn't repeat because people are evil. It repeats because no one absorbs the hit. They just pass it forward. And this is where ego shows its teeth. Because ego will rather bleed slowly than kneel once. Ego hates cleanup because cleanup requires admission. And admission feels like failure to people who confuse pride with strength. So what's harder for you? Admitting you fucked up financially or doing the uncomfortable work to clean it up? Because grinding without planning isn't responsibility. Being busy isn't leadership. Paying bills without direction isn't provision. Provision without direction is emotional laziness. And kids feel that laziness, even when you pretend they don't. They feel it when conversations get tight, when money gets weird, when stress leaks into the room unspoken. That's not closeness, that's theft. It's stealing emotional bandwidth from a kid because you didn't want to face your own fear. Expecting kids to save you is a form of abandonment. Not leaving, staying, but outsourcing responsibility to someone smaller. Love that burdens instead of protects is not love. It's fear clinging for survival. Let me tell you about a friend of mine, because this isn't theoretical. His parents never saved, never planned, spent money on dumb shit, trips they couldn't afford, cars they didn't need, a status they couldn't sustain. No discipline, no accountability, just vibes and denial. Now they're old, can't work, Social Security barely covers anything, and they expect him to help constantly, emotionally, financially, silently. No conversation, no acknowledgement, just expectation. And he's drowning because he's trying to build a future while carrying someone else's past. It happens to the best of us. He asked me a question one night that cracked him open. He said, "What would you do if you were me?" Now, I didn't sugarcoat it because sugarcoating keeps people trapped. I told him the truth. Sometimes you have to cut them loose. Even if they're your parents, even if they suffer. That silence after I said it, that was grief, not shock. Because deep down, he already knew that staying was killing him, that enabling wasn't kindness, that love without boundaries was destroying his life. And here's why that choice isn't cruel. Consequences teach what lectures never did, and enabling destroys futures, including yours. You don't owe anyone your life because they avoided theirs. Financial irresponsibility steals freedom before kids ever get a choice. Dreams shrink. Risk disappears. Potential gets traded for obligation. And nobody calls it abuse because it wears the mask of family. It's true. Love without accountability still causes damage. Intentions don't erase outcomes. Good hearts can still leave scars. This is where people get defensive because they confuse intention with impact. I didn't mean to hurt you. I did my best. I was trying. None of that changes the weight your kids had to carry. Accountability is love made real. Anything else is harm with a smile. Here's the part most parents don't want to hear. Your kids don't need perfection. They need repair. They need to see you own mistakes. They need to see you change patterns. They need to see you choose humility over image. That's leadership, not authority, not control. Leadership is doing the work without applause. Imagine the example you'd set by choosing discipline now. Not dramatic overhauls, not overnight miracles, just ownership. Imagine your kids watching you learn, watching you budget, watching you ask for help, watching you say, "I fucked this up and I'm fixing it." That moment alone changes their nervous system because now responsibility feels safe. Now adulthood doesn't look like doom. That's generational wealth, not money, momentum. freedom to build instead of repair, freedom to create instead of recover. Most people think legacy is what you give. Legacy is what you don't take. You don't owe your kids wealth. You owe them freedom. Freedom from your fear. Freedom from your avoidance. Oh yeah, this is getting good. Freedom from inheriting chaos as normal. That requires one thing most people refuse to do. Face themselves. No blame, no excuses. No, that's just how it was. Just truth. And truth isn't cruel. Avoidance is. Here's the line that separates leaders from liabilities. Leaders absorb pressure. They don't pass it down. Trauma repeats until someone absorbs the hit, not redirects it. You get to be that person, not because it's fair, because it ends the cycle. That choice won't get applause. It won't feel heroic. It will feel lonely at first. But years from now, your kids won't thank you loudly. They'll thank you quietly, by living freely, by choosing careers without fear, by loving without obligation, by building lives not shaped by debt. That's the kind of thank you that actually matters. You don't fix this for applause. You fix it so they never have to. That's what grown leadership looks like. So here's the decision that actually matters. Not someday, not when things calm down, now. What are you going to stop outsourcing? Your fear? Your finances? Your responsibility? Because every delay is a silent vote for your kids to carry it later. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a direction and the spine to follow it. One budget written. One debt face. One conversation you've been avoiding. Discipline isn't punishment. It's protection. Protection for your kids' future. Protection for your dignity. Protection for the version of you that's tired of running. So stop telling your kids they'll take care of you. Show them how to take care of themselves by watching you do it first. That's the lesson that sticks. Not speeches, not guilt. Ownership. Here's the line you draw today. I will not pass my fear forward. Say it again. Say it. I will not pass my fear forward. That sentence alone ends generations of bullshit. You don't become a good parent by being liked. You become a good parent by being responsible. Your kids don't need martyrs. They need adults. Adults who clean up messes. Adults who tell the truth. Adults who don't hide behind tradition to excuse cowardice. This is how cycles end. Not dramatically, deliberately. You don't owe your kids perfection. You owe them freedom. Freedom from debt they didn't choose. Freedom from pressure they didn't create. Freedom from guilt disguised as love. Be the parent they never have to recover from. Be the name that doesn't tighten their chest. Be the past they don't have to undo. That's real love. Everything else is fear asking for help. So handle your shit. Stop outsourcing responsibility. Stop borrowing against your kids' future. Let them build. Let them choose. Let them live unburdened. That's the gift. That's the legacy. And if this made you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is the doorway. Walk through it. And remember, the choice is yours. And that's it for today. This is the Bad Influence Podcast. We don't cuddle excuses. We end cycles. If this hit home, don't ignore it. Do something today. Subscribe if you're done lying to yourself. Send this to someone who needs the truth, not comfort. Until next time, stay relentless, stay dangerous, and make them remember your name. Have a good day, everybody.